guys, so just gonna jump right into it today. The only thing I have on my skin is moisturizer, and now I'm going in with my Temptu liquid bronzer, and I'm just applying that underneath my foundation. I really like doing this because it shines through the foundation and gives you a really nice natural bronzy glow. So I just applied that in the areas that I wanted to bronze, and now I'm blending it out using my Real Techniques damp sponge. Now I'm going in with my Makeup Forever HD Stick Foundation. This is in the shade 117, so I'm just applying that to my skin, and then I'm going to blend that out using my sponge again. To be honest, I prefer using a buffing brush or a flat top kabuki for blending out this type of foundation, just because I find that using a sponge you have to press pretty hard to get the foundation to move the way you want it to. But I already started with the sponge, so I'm not a quitter. I'm just going to keep going with it. Just for future, I'll remember to use a brush for this type of foundation. You'll also notice that the bronzer that we put on earlier shines through the skin really nicely, but I'm just going to go ahead and apply another layer of that on top of my foundation, just so it pops a little bit more and it gives you, like I said, a really nice bronzy glow, and it looks a little bit more natural than going in with a whole bunch of powders or thick cream contour products. And just blending that out again using the same sponge. Now I'm going in with my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. This is in the shade Fair Neutral, and I'm just going to hide my under eye circles and highlight the middle of my face. So I'm just applying that and then blending it out once again using that same sponge. To set my concealer, I'm going to bake a little bit today, and of course I'm using my RCMA No Color powder. So just packing that on underneath my eyes and basically everywhere else that I put the concealer. And now I'm going in with my Makeup Forever Matte Bronzer. The shade name of this actually rubbed off, but I'm pretty sure it's the lightest one you can get. So I'm just applying that to the areas that I previously put the liquid bronzer. And now I'm going in with a flat top kabuki and just brushing off the areas that I baked, and I'm going to use the extra product that's left over on the brush just to blend my powder bronzer into my skin. And now I'm going in with my Wet n Wild Mega Glow Highlighting Powder. This is in the shade Precious Petals. And I started out with a fan brush, but I wasn't getting the glow that I wanted, so I switched over to a Real Techniques setting brush, and I dampened it a little bit with MAC Fix Plus. And I'm just hitting the tops of my cheekbones again just to make that highlighter pop a little bit more. For blush today, I'm using my BH Cosmetics blush palette, and I'm using these two colors here and just popping that on the apples of my cheeks. Now I'm going to go ahead and do my brows off camera. Today I used the Anastasia Dip Brow in the shade Taupe, and now I'm moving on to my eyes. And I'm starting out with my Sigma E35 and the shade Force of Nature from the original Tartelette Palette, and that is going to be my transition shade today. Now in the same palette, I'm going into the shade here called Wanderer, and I'm just using a skinnier crease brush for this just because I want this to be a little bit more precise into my crease. And you can see the way that I've angled the brush. I did that so it goes right into my crease and doesn't get too high up or too far down on my lid. Now I'm taking this color Dreamer and I'm applying that with a small pencil brush right on the outer corner of my crease, and then going back in with the Sigma E35. When I'm working with darker colors like this, I like to use a small brush to place the product where I want it and then use a bigger brush to blend it out. I just find if you go straight in with a bigger brush, then it can kind of get messy and muddy looking. So this is the best way to do it so you can be really precise with your application. Now I'm switching over into my Tartelette and Bloom palette, and I'm going to use this champagne shimmery color here called Funny Girl, and I'm just going to apply that to my lids. Normally when I go in with shimmery colors, I tend to either use my fingers or a brush dampened with Fix Plus, but for this look I don't want it to be too metallic, so I'm just doing a light wash of color on my lids using a dry brush. Now I'm going back into that original Tartelette palette, and I'm using the first two colors that I used in my crease, Force of Nature and Wanderer, and that skinny crease brush, just because I want to redefine the crease in case we lost any of the definition when we went in with the lid color. Going back into the In Bloom palette using this creamy shade called Charmer, and I'm just going to pop this under my eyebrows and in the inner corner of my eyes to highlight. And this is a matte shade. I don't want this look to be too shimmery, so I decided to go with a matte shade for this. And then I'm going to go back in with my Sigma E35 and just make sure that there are no harsh lines and everything is blended out nice and seamlessly. For my eyeliner today, I'm starting out with my Kat Von D Trooper eyeliner pen. This is a felt tip pen, so I like to map out the initial wing and then do a thin line on my upper lash line. And then I'm going to switch over to my NYC liquid liner to finish up the wing. And I want this wing to be pretty thick and long on the outside, but then I want it to taper in nice and thin towards the inner corner. Now I'm just moving on to my lower lash line, and I'm using the shade Force of Nature just to define my lashes a little bit. I did go in with a nude eye pencil on my waterline just to open up my eyes a little bit more. And for mascara today, I'm using the Jordana Best Lash Extreme before I go in with these falsies, which are Ardell Wispies, and I'm just popping those on. For my lips today, I'm using my absolute favorite lip liner by Makeup Forever in the shade 3C, and I'm going to overline a little bit, but my bottom lip is already pretty big, so I'm just going to overline my upper lip a little bit. And a little trick to do this so you don't look like a crazy person is to only overline your Cupid's bow. So that's what I did, and now I'm going in with Anastasia Beverly Hills liquid lipstick in the shade Crush. I wanted this to be an ombre lip look today, so I took my BH Cosmetics lipstick in the shade Honesty. It's like a really beigey nude color, and I just popped that right in the center of my lips and blended that out with my finger. And then just to make everything blend out really nice and have a nice fade to it, I took that lip liner again, applied it to the outer corners, and blended it out once more. And then, since I wanted this look to be a little bit glossy, I took a clear gloss, topped my lips with that, and that is the finished look. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and please let me know what you want to see next. Bye!